afternoon. You're watching Business World Live. Let's take a look at how the local bourse closed today. You can see on my Bloomberg terminal here, the index was down by 0.8% today. We closed at 6912.85, basically reversing all the gains that we had seen the day prior when we saw that the index rising the most in 3 weeks. We were actually the biggest gainer in Asia. A lot of optimism all around with analysts saying that we could go beyond 7,000. That does not seem to have happened. Let's take a look at what overseas investors did do. They pulled out dramatically. We actually sold the most Philippine stocks in 1 month today. You can see that downward trend here, $16.28 million of net sales, which we lost, the highest net foreign selling since at least August 16th. But if you take a look at net on net for the entire week, or at least the past 5 trading days, we did see net foreign buying this week coming in at 2.61 billion pesos versus the net foreign selling that we saw last week. This, of course, all happens as the announcement came that the capital will remain under alert level 4 until the end of September, this amid a 16.5% vaccination rate. Let's take a look at the sectors here. A big loser is the services arm, that's down by 2.7% this Friday, followed by properties, industrials, then holding firms. Only financials were in the green today, up by 0.8%. And I want to take a quick peek at the movers of the week, which also mainly reflects what did happen as well today. You can see the two top movers, Aboitiz Power and AEV, staging quite a rally this past week. Of course, you've got reports saying that they have secured a 10-year power supply deal with Pampanga province. And if you take a look at the biggest loser for the day, dragging down the services index, that was Globe Telecom, down by 6.3%. That corrected downwards, but that's really only after it had actually jumped 5.3% the day prior. It was the biggest gainer yesterday in the index and lost all of those gains. Other reversals happening here. The malls, after they had already celebrated the reopening, or at least slow reopening of the economy, you can see all of them down today. SM Prime in particular down by 2.5%. Mega World as well, and Vista Land. Only Ayala Land is continuing to see some gains here. And finally, you've also got the restaurant suffering. Max is down by 1.5%. JFC, a heavy hit, down by 3.4%. And finally, just some economic figures for you guys to digest before we let you go this week. The Bangko Sentral has updated their estimates basically downwards for the year end as well as for next year 2022. This as they announced that the current account deficit, current account swung to a deficit of $1.2 billion in the second quarter. And you can see on your screens here the revisions of the estimates downwards. Particularly, the current account surplus is seen to be at $3.5 billion dollars rather by the end of 2021. That is a revision downwards as well. 2022 is looked at $1.4 billion of a deficit. And when you take a look at the balance of payments surplus, the Bangko Sentral is estimating 2021 to end at $4.1 billion of a balance of payment surplus. That is significantly revised downwards from the previous estimate of $7.1 billion. And you can take a look at remittance growth. They're saying that we will be seeing 6% growth in remittances as full year here, and on 2022, lower growth in remittances at just 4%. And finally, foreign exchange reserves, they're looking at a year-end foreign exchange reserve at $114 billion. That is a revision downwards from the previous print of $115 billion. Here are the other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. The UP COVID-19 pandemic response team warns that the country's COVID-19 caseload may hit the 3 million mark by mid-October based on the current trends. Now, based on their projections, the downtrend in COVID-19 infections may only be seen after the expected peak by the end of the month or in early October. The team's spokesperson, Professor Jomar Rabahante, hopes that the new alert level system would help ease the COVID situation in the hospitals. Rabahante is also calling on the IATF to release more specific thresholds in classifying areas under alert levels 1 to 5. But the health department says they cannot release such metrics just yet while the pilot run is still ongoing. The health department expects daily new cases in the country to reach as high as 43,000 by the end of September. Now, a total of 57 areas in Metro Manila are currently under granular lockdowns. The Interior Department says the biggest challenge is implementing minimum health standards in these areas as more establishments have reopened due to the alert level system. NCR mayors are meanwhile targeting a downgrade of the region's alert level status by October. MMDA Chairman Benhur Abalos tells the chiefs that NCR mayors are pushing for alert level 3 should the pilot implementation this month run smoothly. Mayors are also appealing to the IATF to exclude healthcare utilization rate in determining the next alert level since some patients in hospitals are not from the capital region. And over 600,000 AstraZeneca doses procured by the private sector arrived in the country early this morning. This marks the third batch of AstraZeneca shots to arrive in the country this September. Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion believes the latest shipment will complement government efforts to mitigate the spread of the Delta variant. The Philippines will also welcome some 190,000 Sputnik 5 doses this weekend, as well as 1,000,000 doses of the Sputnik Light, its single-dose version, this month. The country has so far received a total of 57.5 million COVID-19 shots from different sources, including the COVAX facility. So far, the government has administered over 40 million doses nationwide, with more than 17.6 million individuals now fully vaccinated. And in Metro Manila, MMDA Chairperson Benhur Abalos tells One News the chiefs that they are expecting almost 80% of NCR residents to be fully vaccinated by mid-October. And here to give us his input on these new developments, we have back with us Joey Concepcion, Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship. Good morning, good afternoon rather, Sir Joey, and welcome back to Business World Live. Sir, let's kick off with the pilot test of this level 1 to 5 alert system. Of course, we are at level 4 here in NCR. What is this to you? Are you disappointed? Is this a good compromise? Businesses don't seem too happy, but at the same time, we are reopening at least more than we have seen in the past weeks.
Well, I think this is the granular approach is something that I recommended last year to the president in June, no? The earlier days of this war against COVID. And I think it's the right approach to adopt. We try to learn new ways to coexist with COVID-19, especially the Delta variant. If we don't learn how to live with COVID, then we will be in trouble because this is going to be around for quite some time. And I think granular is the right approach. The alert level that we are in right now, of course, we hope that this would go to the lowest in the last quarter of the year because this is when our entrepreneurs try to recover all what they've lost in the beginning of the year. No? The last quarter of the year is the most important quarter of the annual calendar. No? So I think it is, to me, very important that we should keep the economy open, especially for the last quarter.
Sir, how do we reconcile the reopening of the economy with the fact that the daily cases are still hovering above 20,000, maybe even reaching 43,000, and the DOH has said we are yet to reach our peak? And of course, a part of this alert level classification really rests on the hospital utilization rate.
Okay, in our last town hall last Monday, DOH couldn't make it. Dr. Athela was in a meeting in the IETF. But what is very important is that the Octa was there and John Wong was there as well. These are experts that project that the cases are rising, but not to the numbers of 40,000 of DOH. No? I think to my mind, Okta is quite more accurate when it comes to prediction. No? Maybe they're. I believe that they have been very accurate, especially in calling for the early lockdown, which was followed suit by DOH. But nevertheless, I think we should not look at the number of people getting infected on a daily basis. We should really look at the hospitalization, and that is correct. No? And if you see, those being hospitalized are all unvaccinated. And that's why the goal is to vaccinate as many people. So what is important is NCR achieves 80% by mid-October and hopefully closer to 90% before the end of the year. And results show, I mean, PGH, St. Luke, Makati Met all point out to 75 to 80% of those vaccinated will be at least will have a better chance of not getting to the hospital. So it's clearly seen that unvaccinated are the ones filling up the hospitals. And that is what we have to try to address.
Okay, but sir, according to some studies here, at least according to Abalos, we might reach already herd immunity in NCR 80% by October. Does this mean you're pushing for even more establishments, higher risk establishments, cinemas, bars? What needs to be happening here, even if we achieve that 80% level? Do you imagine these things to be reopening?
Yes, of course, because number one, I think what they have allowed are the parlors and they have allowed the restaurants, but the spas, the gyms are still closed. No? We have to try to open as many, hopefully not at 10% as we hit the fourth quarter. We'd like to see that move up higher, hopefully to 30%, no, of dine-in at the minimum, from my point of view, for the vaccinated. No, what I'm saying is for the vaccinated. It is not discriminatory because we see that the unvaccinated are totally vulnerable to Delta. The problem here is that if you don't have a protection, the chances of getting severe infection and even dying is very high. And as I said, the hospital data will show it. No? So what we have to do is to allow still the unvaccinated to move out, but not into these business establishments that are of higher risk, restaurants, spas, gyms, salons, etc. No? And there are others. But we can't keep the economy closed because also the government is relying on better tax revenue collection. How will you have better tax revenue collection when the economy is closed? The LGUs need the financial income as well, and national government. How will they continue to fund the purchases of the next vaccines for next year? We will need booster shots. We will still need 2 doses for those who have not been able to take the vaccines. We need testing kits. We need so many things to be able to win this battle. We need the weapons to win the battle. Now, if we have no money, how are you going to buy all of these necessary tools
Sir,
to
is your bakuna
ward
bubble
off
concept
COVID-19, especially Delta?
Sir, is your bakuna bubble concept still adaptable with this new alert level system? Right now, you've only got the perks for the vaccinated, which is dining in, basically indoors. How can you extend this now? Is this something that can be easily integrated into the new system?
Yeah, it's very easy. They will just have to allow these other establishments that are closed to open. Especially now, we've appealed that they should allow the remaining that's not open at 10%. Now, maybe the bars are a different story. We can hold that off. No, movie theaters, we can hold that off. No, so the super high risk ones, especially these bars that can be held off until the last quarter. So let us try with the spas, the parlors, the restaurants, of course, and the gyms. Anyway, they are. We've asked them to monitor anybody who gets sick. So they have to monitor their clients who come in, maybe not all, but at least some, so that they can determine they're on a pilot test. So we have to see how effective it is. And by the way, all other countries in the world are doing it, and they have Delta in their country. So you have to balance the risk. You cannot, totally have no risk. You have to allow some risk to happen. But again, you mitigate that risk because what you are allowing are basically the vaccinated people.
Sir, can we continue on with this reopening if we don't see an improvement in the hospital facilities?
As I told Dr. Saldana, because he was saying, can the private sector help here? I was saying the way to help here is to reduce the number of unvaccinated in the hospitals. If the unvaccinated are at 75 to 80% of the hotel occupancy, we just have to reduce that. So we have to now focus on vaccinating our people. And NCR is doing the right thing. They're already at 80%. Now, herd immunity under Delta is not possible. So why is it not possible? Because there are breakthrough infections. So we have to go higher to 90%. But it doesn't mean that 80% is not good. It's great. It already offers good protection. But the higher you go, the better it is. So if we can hit 90%, then that somehow gives us better assurance that less people will be going to the hospital. So the key here is that we should stop the hospitals from being overwhelmed because of the healthcare workers and the rooms. But you can only do that if people can be treated at home. So even if you have 10,000 cases, but all of them are vaccinated, chances are they will just be treated at home. And I've seen that in many homes. That now the challenge is the penetration is happening at home.
Mhm. Sir, you're among the officials who welcomed the AstraZeneca arrivals this morning. That's, of course, the third batch procured by the private sector. How is it going so far? Is it now at the speed and pace and even logistic delivery that you were hoping to achieve? And how does this change your targets now?
Well, the thing that makes us happy is that majority of the companies are hitting 90% to 100% of our people wanting to take the vaccines. Prior to that, we were at the 50% level. So definitely the private sector has done a great job. Most of us, the first batch, especially companies, they've already completed the first dose. Most companies are starting the second dose with this arrival. And right now, and many are inoculating their people with the second dose. So we hope to finish that by October, definitely the first batch. Of course, the second batch of private sector is just starting their first doses now. No? So hopefully they'll be finished a little later. They'll be finished close to December because these orders were placed only in January. And 80% of the arrivals today and moving forward are going to be for the LGU. So the sharing of the arrivals moving forward starting this month is going to be 20% for the private sector, 80% for the LGU. So the LGUs will have more of the AstraZeneca vaccines moving forward till completion.
Sir, just last point on that, sir. How many more doses for the private sector are you expecting until the end of the year? And when is the arrival for that?
Well, 17 million ordered. I think about maybe 3 million would have arrived already by then. So we're looking at about 14 and a half million doses still to come in between now till February next year. Not everything will be delivered this year. Our donation of 3 million doses to the national government, which has been returned back to us for us to redirect to other LGUs who we want to donate, will still arrive in February, March next year. Now we're appealing to AstraZeneca to try to accelerate. As you know, the supply of vaccines are really tight. And imagine we ordered this last year. So we are hoping that they get more doses to the Philippines soon.
Sir, are you looking at booster shots already at this point?
Yes, we have talked to Chuck Charlie. He's open to a tripartite agreement for AstraZeneca. We are looking at also the donation portion that we're giving to the national government as possible booster shots. At least half of that we will donate it to the LGU. I mean, the entire amount we can donate it to the LGU, and maybe the LGUs can offer the booster shot. But the way I look at it, that will be sometime February, March of next year. Still, no. But yes, we are really planning, and we have working out with AstraZeneca the intent. We have to secure these booster shots. At least AstraZeneca would last longer than the mRNA vaccines. We've seen that from the reports all over the world. So AstraZeneca claims it sees it at almost 12 months, which is good. So we may need this booster shot sometime March, April next year.
Okay, thank you so much for that update. That was, of course, Joey Concepcion, Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
And before we end today's broadcast, we would like to extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Asia United Bank Director and Vice Chairman Ramon Y.C., who passed away yesterday at the age of 91. He joined AUB in 2012 and was instrumental to the bank's listing in May of 2013. Again, our heartfelt sympathies. And those are the biggest stories this trading day, September 17, 2021. Catch Business World live again Monday next week, 9:30 a.m. for the market open and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Danie Laurel. Mask on, wash hands, stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.